Hello, my name is Indiana the Great, and today I'm going to be talking about passive income through dividend investing. As you probably know, passive income is a very popular topic. And in my opinion, dividend investing is the most passive form of passive income. While all passive income does require a certain amount of work, in my opinion, the work needed to track a portfolio of different stocks, bonds, and ETFs that pay out dividends that you can either live off of or use to cover certain expenses does require the least amount of work. Today, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on dividend investing, what my original plan was for it, some lessons I've learned along the way, the changes I've made to my current portfolio, and what you can expect from future videos. So, first off, we're going to talk about my original plan. So, my original plan was to take all of the monthly paying dividend stocks and all the monthly paying dividend ETFs, at least the ETFs that are equity based, and use those to essentially have those provide a monthly source of income. Now, you may ask why every single monthly paying dividend and stock and why every single monthly paying dividend ETF? That's a good question. From my research, I've noticed, especially through certain times like through COVID or other major events, or even overall fund or company performance, not every single stock can continually pay out monthly dividends. Now, while there have been certain companies and certain ETFs that have paid out every single month since they've existed, there have also been some that have had that similar track record until a major event happened. So my thinking is to spread out the risk of either one or two or even a few stocks or ETFs either not paying out anymore or just going away. It's better to mitigate that risk by acquiring all of them and essentially always guaranteeing through that average you get that monthly payout. So what I did was I made two separate lists and two separate portfolios. One of all the monthly paying dividend stocks. These are all the ones that are available on the U.S. stock exchange. Most of them are U.S. companies, some are not, but you can buy the stock without paying any additional fees. And I found about 90 different symbols. I also found about 253 different dividend ETFs that are all or mostly equity based. Some of these have different strategies, such as covered call, synthetic covered call, different option strategies, some bits of leverage, some MLPs. But for the most part, these are all different ETFs and trusts that are mostly or all equity based. So now let's look at the performance. So for the all stock portfolio, I started this about October of 2023, and the overall performance through February of 2024 was negative 4.55%. Now, the year to date, that's just January and February, the return was negative 1.48% with when compared to the S&P of 6.91%. Now, the average yield for just February was 6.89%, but overall, that was the performance of the all stock portfolio. The all dividend ETF portfolio performance was 4.18% during that current time period, with a year to date return of 3.07% when compared to the 6.91 of the S&P. And then the February yield was 8.09%. So, from looking at this, my understanding was that the dividend ETF portfolio even covered a lot more ETFs, has less risk, and performed better. I noticed during the time of the stocks, a few of the stocks did stop paying the monthly ETF or monthly dividends. Not many, but just a few, which was part of the reason I acquired so many. The same thing did happen with the dividend ETFs. A few stopped paying, and a few actually went away. I guess the fund closed and they returned the capital. But overall, during that time, the all dividend ETFs portfolio performed better than the all stock dividend portfolio. So overall, my decision moving forward was to sell all of the stocks and put those into the dividend ETF portfolio. I also made a few other changes to the dividend ETF portfolio, expanding what was in there as far as the type of ETFs, and I will go over that next. So for the monthly paying dividend ETFs, The total amount of symbols now is 253. So of these 253 tickers, these are all equity or mostly equity based. But I also added on additional ETFs, which I did separate into separate sections. They're all in the same portfolio, but I've separated them into separate sections in case you all want to go through them. And again, I'll talk about at the end of the video, but I will provide all of these lists and additional resources on how I was able to find this information in the comments below. Now, the second group of dividends that I put into this dividend ETF portfolio are preferred ETFs and bond ETFs. Preferred ETFs are a group of preferred stocks, which are kind of a combination between a stock and a bond. They trade like a stock but pay out like a bond. So these are different ETFs, which these different companies have gathered together all the preferred stocks and put them into an ETF to pay out monthly. I've also gathered different bond ETFs. These are usually different bonds that are more on the private capital side, either from private companies or from stocks as well, or companies that trade on the stock exchange as well and pay out these higher yields. They usually are inverse to the interest rate. So as interest rates lower, you expect these to go up. The third group I've gathered are quarterly paying dividend ETFs. So my thinking is that most of these quarterly paying ETFs trade on the same or pay dividends on the same schedule. That's March, July, September, and December. So like someone that does receive a kind of a quarterly bonus at a job, that you can kind of receive this in your portfolio as a quarterly payout. So this I found about 40 different ones that I like that had a pretty good growth and pretty good yields. They paid about average on yields and still have pretty good growth potential. So for this new set of dividend ETFs for this new portfolio, it will still have mostly the monthly paying dividend ETFs with the additional of with the addition of monthly paying preferred and bond ETFs and some quarterly paying dividend ETFs. So what am I looking for in this new portfolio? So the reason I've taken these monthly paying dividend ETFs and incorporated the monthly paying preferred and bond ETFs, as well as the quarterly paying dividend ETFs, is to have an overall portfolio that can pay out a pretty good percentage and then also continue to grow. If you are familiar with the 3% or 4% rule, that is where you essentially grow a portfolio kind of through retirement or when you're ready to retire. And then it can pay out, you can sell off 3 to 4% a year. And after paying taxes, live on that amount. My idea is to look for a portfolio that pays maybe 7 to 8% per year and then be able to live off of that 3 to 4%. And then with the remainder, use that to pay taxes and the rest to reinvest so it can grow with inflation. With the 3 or 4% rule, that also includes the amount that you have to pay for taxes. So you are living off a little bit less of that, but you are pretty much guaranteed not to run out of money with the current growth rate of the market. With this dividend, monthly paying dividend ETF portfolio, I'm looking to kind of use that 3 to 4% to use to pay bills or set aside for a set amount of income and use maybe 2% of that to pay for the taxes that is needed, 2 to 3%, and then the rest to reinvest to grow over time. So that is what I'm going to be tracking kind of these next 3 months to see if this portfolio does fit that and if any changes need to be made. Also, with the next videos, I'll be reporting on that performance and also incorporating any questions or comments that you all have. I will also be including all the links to these monthly paying dividend ETFs, the stock ones, preferred, the quarterly ones, and an additional list I have. Also with an additional list of resources and where I was able to kind of find and filter through this information. So thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try to address them either in the comments or incorporate them into future videos. Thank you. My name is Indiana the Great, and these are my thoughts on dividend investing as a form of passive income.